is Chris from Chris Loves Crochet and Crochet Recreations, and we're going to work on this basket weave purse. All right, let's get ready. Let's go. All right, so today we're going to make a basket weave purse. Basket weave stitch into a piece of fabric, and then we're going to make it into a purse or a bag or whatever you want to call it. So the things we need, of course, is yarn, and what I'm using is Yarn Bee Dye Works. It's 120 yards, and I used 2 balls to do mine. It calls for an 8 millimeter crochet hook. So that's what I pulled out a 9. That's silly. Let's get the 8 millimeter crochet hook, bright pink. And this is 50% cotton, 50% acrylic. And your 8 millimeter crochet hook. You'll need a darning needle, something with a larger eye if you're using a bulky weight yarn like I am. You'll need some scissors, and you'll need some stitch markers, a minimum of about 6 once we get into sewing in the gusset for the sides of the purse, just to help us keep things even. So that we won't need for a while. You might need 1 just to hold your place when you're doing that. So the first thing we need to know is that this is a multiple of 8. And I'm going to start this with a foundation double crochet. If you're not doing a foundation double crochet, then do multiples of 8 plus 4. So 1, 2, 3, and then 1 for the chain. It's going to be double crochet. Double crochets. What just happened? Double crochet foundation. So you get into the first chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, stretch it out a little bit, yarn over, pull through that first loop, yarn over, pull through the first 2, yarn over, pull through the last 2. Now you've held it with your hand where that chain was that you created, and you create another chain, and there we go. Now what I did was make a initial chain of the width of the purse, and then worked up through the length. And what I made was a purse that was, well, the fabric that I made to make the purse was, it ended up being 8 inches and 22 inches long. So I'm making an 8-inch width, but I actually made an 8.5 inch width. And because we're using front and back post double crochet throughout, it really pulls it in a little bit. So I would suggest you go at least like a 1/2 inch longer on your foundation, your chainless foundation, in order to have that wiggle room for the bunching up a little bit of the front and back post that's used in the basket weave stitch. So I'm not going to do the whole thing. I've already made most of the purse. So I'm going to show you how to make a basket weave. So let's see what we've got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I should count here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, multiple of 8. Then I forgot to say we need a +2, because on each end we have 4 in each of the basket weave sections, but then we need a double crochet on each end. So +2, 1, 2. If you're doing the foundation, chainless foundation. Otherwise, it's multiples of 8 plus 4. So, to make this basket weave stitch, what I'm going to do, I know it's double crochet, and you typically chain 3 and turn. I'm going to chain 2 and turn, because when I tried the chain 3, it ended up being too long for a stitch, because this is front and back post. So we're going to start with front post in 4 and then back post in 4. So I'm going to leave that chain 2 is the first double crochet. So I'm going to leave this stitch, empty, because I'm counting that. So I'm going to go into, not into this stitch, but around this post. And I'm going to do 4 front posts, go in through the front, from the back and back out to the front again. Grab your yarn, pull it behind the post, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Go down from the front, go out the other side, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So far we have 3. This is the 4th one. Did I just go in? No. Make sure you just go in through around the post. So there we have 4 front posts. Now we're going to do 4 back posts. Yarn over, you go in behind, from behind, and go over the post and behind again to grab the yarn to pull through. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Another back post, go in from behind, go around the post, grab your yarn, pull it through. Yeah. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. That's 2. There's 3 and 4. Now we do 4 front post. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 4 back post. 1, oops, got a big knot in my yarn. 2, 3, 4, and we have 1 left, and in that 1 we're going to double crochet. So we're going to double crochet when it calls for a double crochet, top of the stitch there. But then when we turn, we're only going to chain 2 and then turn. And you can see how it's already getting squished. Yeah, it'll pull out some, but you lose a little bit of that initial chain, or even the foundation. You lose a little bit of it as you do your front and back post. Now, in order to do a basket weave, we're going to count that as 2 front posts, even though the first one wasn't a front post. But 1, 2, and then we do a total of 4 rows of the same front post on a front post and back post on a back post. And then, so these are all, there's my knot again. Let's see. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 1 more front post, 4, and then 4 back posts where these back posts are. because you can see that there's a row across it. Make sure that you push your yarn all the way up onto the shank of the hook so that you get the full size. It's an 8mm, so don't just stop right here and go through, or you won't get the 8mm. You got to push it all the way down here and then pull through. 4. So let me do 4 rows of this. We're on our 3rd row. So I'm going to finish this row and do 1 more, and then I'll show you what we do next. Alright, so I'm almost done with the 4th row. I'm going into the chain. That's the top of the 4th stitch that I just did, so this one, that B. So I'm going to go into the chain beside it and do a double crochet. Now I'm going to chain 2 like before, turn. Now, this is the first of the basket weave, but the basket weave has to look like it's weaving. And so now we're going to do opposite. So instead of front post on these front posts, we're going to go back post. So we did 4 rows of the same, and now we're going to do 4 rows like this. Back post on these front posts, and for 4 rows. And then we do front posts on the back posts. So what I do to know that I'm done, because I get lost sometimes, is I look at these rows across the back posts, and I see that I have 3. I don't count this top one because I'm about to go over it with a front post double crochet. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And now I'll look back and see now, because I've covered this top one up with the front post, I've got, I don't count this bottom thing, I have 3 chains or 3 ridges going across. And that way I know I have 4 back post double crochet, because we don't count that first one because of the way it's shaped. And so now we have front post again. We're going to go back post. Oops. For 4. 3, 4, and now front post on these previous back posts for 4, 2, 3, 4. And now we do our regular double crochet, not on top of this stitch, not in this stitch that we just front post double crocheted on. We go into the top of the chain, try to get 2 loops, try to get under 2 loops, and then just do a double crochet. So that has our fabric started, and it pulls up a lot, but it's going to stretch a lot as a purse. So we have the double crochets across the sides. We have the basket weave starting here. You can see the basket weave was down here, and then we changed to go the other way. So this is not the 22 inch, or not the 22 inches. This is not the 8 inches that I told you I did. This is 6 inches not stretched at all. So let's stretch it out a little bit. And we've got about 7 inches, so it's almost. And so what you're going to do is do the width of the purse, however wide you want it, and then go up as far as you want it. What you're going to think about, though, is that when we make the purse, we're going to fold it over and then fold over a flap. So make sure that you give room for a flap. So we're going to roll it up and then have room for it to come down. We're going to make gussets over here to make a handle, and then the gusset goes down here. So it gives it a little bit of depth. So that's what our purse is going to do, but it's going to go this way, but you can't see that. So make your height what you want it. So it's double the height plus the gusset plus the length of the flap that you want to put on. That's how tall you want to make your piece of fabric. So go ahead and do that, and then I will show you what I did for the handle and for the gussets. Okay, I'm going to slip this piece of video in before you need to know it, but I realized that I left it out, so here the purse is all done. Get a sneak peek. I went around the whole piece of fabric before I did the handle and the gusset and everything, and did a single crochet around the whole piece. So it's really easy here on the flap and on the top here to do it, because that's where the stitches are. But going down the side is where the edge is. And so you just find what works for you. What worked for me was doing 6 down these long front posts, and then doing 3 on these 3 little back posts, and then 6. Whatever you do, get a pattern or a repetitive pattern that you're doing so that both sides end up being the same number. So if you finish, once you finish one side all the way up, count it, and then you'll know what you've got to get on the other side. So sorry about that, but that makes it so much easier to sew in your gusset and your handle, is to have those single crochets all the way around, and it really neatens things up. So once you've got your full piece of fabric done, before you start sewing anything together, do your single crochet all around your fabric, including these edges that are unfinished edges, so that it's a finish. Once you do that, then it looks finished. Okay, thanks. So once you've finished your fabric, you're ready to start putting the purse together. So this, I already started on one side. So this is my fabric, and you can see how we have 4 rows go in one direction, then 4 rows. You flip the front post to back post, and the back post to front post for 4 rows. And so you have this basket weave. It might be kind of hard to see in this fabric. It's dark, but it's got some white in it, so hopefully you can see that. So I went 22 inches on that. And then what I did for the handle, what I did was to chain, just did a regular chain, not even a foundation, of what I thought that I wanted, the length of the handle that I wanted. I didn't go back and forth and back and forth. I just did the length of the purse to come up the height, and then the length of the handle that I wanted, and then down this other side. So I had a chain that long. And then I just came back and I double crocheted in each chain. And then once I got to the end of that chain, tricked you. Then, are we going? Yeah. Then at the very tip, then I put in 3 double crochets. Are these double? No, I did half double. Sorry. Half double. They're a little bit more sturdy. So at the end, then I did 3 half double, and then did 1 half double in every stitch all the way down on the other side of the chain. And then in the end, I had to put 2 more in that first chain, and then stitch it together. Slip stitch it together. So it's only 2 rows. You could have a thicker gusset if you wanted a wider purse. Go back around a couple times, or you could even do the half double going this way and just keep going until you have the length that you want. I just wanted to make sure I had the length right before I did it. It doesn't really matter. And when it's going to stretch either way you do it, it's going to stretch a little bit if you make your handle out of crochet. But you could use old handles off of old purses, or go to the thrift store and get some handles, some real handles that are leather or wooden or something like that. That would be great too. And then you just need to do the gussets on each side, or just sew it together and you have a flat purse. It's up to you. It's your creation. So what I did here was I counted for my flap. I wanted to make sure that I had 1, 2, 3, 4, how many? 1, 2, 3, 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And then this is the around the curve. So I've got 15. And then I counted this end, what I had. Can you see it? I should probably lift up my camera. I counted the rest of the edge. And I put a stitch marker in the last one before it started to turn, so I would know the last one that I was going to stitch my gusset into. And then I found the center one so that I could know when I was getting when I got to the very center on the very bottom of the purse. Now, make sure that you don't twist your handle. And you come here and then you count up, and I've got, so there's the bottom of the purse, and here's the three half double on the end here. This was the one that I started with, and I had to add 2 more, and then I slip stitched right there. So I've got 3 half double stitches, 3 stitches on the bottom. So the middle stitch goes into this stitch that's on the bottom there. And this is on the front side. So what I need to do is to count how many stitches. Well, I need to count this many stitches. So how many stitches is that? I'm not going to count this one because that's part of the flap. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. And then this is the 21. So this is the 21. So I'll count 20. I'll ignore that bottom. Then I'll count 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Grab one of my stitch markers and put in the first stitch for the gusset. Now, I don't want to stitch on the right side. I want to stitch on the wrong side. So I'm going to flip it so that's the wrong side. I'm going to flip my handle. Ooh, let's make sure we get this straight. Flip my handle to the wrong side. And so that means that I'm starting on this side. And I'm starting just below this stitch that showed the 15 for the flap. And I'm starting with this stitch in that next stitch after the flap stitch, right there. And what I'm going to do is pull some yarn about double the length I need, just because there's so much yarn. And I'll be right back. Okay, so I made a mess. I just frogged that sample I showed you. So to measure how much you need to cut off in order to sew the gusset, the gusset part of the handle into your piece, it's two-sided. So you've got one length here and one length for the other side. And then I always just double that. I just double it. And let's hope that that's enough. It always depends on what kind of stitch you're doing, too, how much you need. Yeah, I'm just going, what is it? It's not a blanket stitch. It's just a top down, down, up kind of thing. So I just made a slip knot, and I need my needle to thread my needle. So I got my knot on the other end. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch these together. So if you put these together like this, you see the V-stitch here and the V-stitch there on the handle. So what we're going to do is front loop closest to you into the back loop farthest from you. That's how we're going to do it. front loop from this side to back loop on this side. So we're only picking up 1/2 of the V as we're stitching this on. So let me make sure that I get in the right stitch area. This is my first stitch for the, I love these colored stitch markers so that I can keep track of what I'm looking at. So I'm not stitching into this one because that's the flap. I'm going to go in, actually I'm going to go in here first and make a knot. So I just put my needle into that slip knot and then pull it a little tight. Come on. And then I just pull it through. Make a nice tight knot there. And then I'll weave this in so it'll be doubly secure. Then I go back into this edge here, the front loop, and go into the back loop of the marked stitch that's for the gusset. And pull that. Now I go back the other direction. Go into the back loop of the handle, go into the front loop of the purse. Front loop of the purse to the back loop of the handle. Back loop of the handle to the front loop of the purse. Uh-oh, did I already... Oh, I almost double stitched. Okay. So I'm going to take a little shortcut and do 2 at a time and then pull. So I'm going to go down and then up. Sorry. And then up and down. Down and up. Pull this a little bit tight, make sure it's getting in there, and then pull it back to where it's just taut. You don't want it to be gathered up. And then down. It gets to be really easy to see which part of the V you're going into because they start turning in on each other. So you've got the outside loops looking right at you. Make sure not to split it if you got some splitting yarn. And this will split. It'll go right through it. It's not wound very tightly. All right, so I'm almost to the tippy top of the handle. And so I have one more here and I have one more here before I get to this white that marks the bottom. So we did good. So we go down here. Pull a little bit. Straighten it a little bit. And now we're at the bottom, so I can take out this stitch marker and go up here and in here. Now that stitch is really turned around a little bit. And now I'm just going to continue up the other side. And when I get to this edge right here with this last stitch, I'm going to go around a couple of times and then bury my tail here because we've got it inside out. So let me finish that and then I'll show you what we have. Okay, so now I have turned it inside, back the right side out, and you can see where the handle has been sewn. Right there is the little river, little gulf from using the one stitch, the one part of the V. You end up with these wonderful ridges like there, like that. And on this side too, got that. And then we've got the flap. Now the way I measured this and the handle, thank goodness it's all one straight piece. The way I figured my measurement was by using this. This is my insert for my purse. It's messy. That I use for, I don't like to line bags. I have one video out there that I do line the bag. And there's some other ones out there, but I'll try to link that one in here, or how to line a bag. But also I'll link, I'll put a link down there where you can go and pick and get some of these kangaroo keepers. They're really not very expensive. You end up getting a pack, but then maybe you can give some as gifts, because this has lasted forever. This is so nice, and there's place for pens and lipstick and all kinds of stuff. And so I just fit it right inside here, and it's got a little bit of a stretch to my purse, and then the little flap goes over, and now I've got a full purse. So I grab this, take it out, and put it into another purse that I've made and haven't lined whenever I want to change. So if you have something like this already, then use it for your measurements so that you know that you are actually making it to fit your liner. So that's the flap, and then here's the handles. Now here you could use, let's get this straight. You could use some snaps. You could use, put a button here and then put a chain that goes down around the button. You could just leave it because it's just a flap. That's what's fun about flaps, is that you can just leave it. I think I'm going to leave it. You could put some tassels on here so there's a little bit of a weight on here. And then you're good to go. That's it, man. That's the purse. And you can't see the whole thing, but I'll put a picture of it at the end here of the whole thing. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you're going to try it. And I appreciate your time. And we always have a choice, so please choose happy. Thank you very much. Bye.